The analytics provided in Zaption are really beautiful, and effectively using them in your classroom can really enhance whatever learning tour you're giving to your students. First thing when you go into the tour analytics that you'll see is this overview screen. Honestly, I don't use this overview screen a ton. I think it depends on your needs, so I'm not going to concentrate on this right now. What I do use a lot is the responses and the viewers tab. So first of all, after assigning a learning tour for homework, which is the way I usually use it, this is how I start my class. I project this on the board and we talk about the open response questions in particular, or the questions that I identified that the class needs help with as a whole. What I love is that there's an option right here to show and hide the viewer names. So by default, it shows the viewers' names so that you can see who responded in what way. But when I'm showing it for the class, the first thing I do is I hide their names before I project it. That way we can talk about the various responses in an anonymous way so that I'm not calling out any particular student who might not have responded correctly. If I ask a question such as this, which is a short answer open response type question, this says, why did we get 1 over x? What happened to the ln a? Note that here you don't see the math equations. Zaption does have an equation editor, and so my students did get to see this in a much nicer format when they were answering the question, but that just doesn't show in this view. So usually we start with going over these questions. You get a word cloud whenever you are asking an open response type question. So if you hover over the words here, you'll see that, ln appears in 7 responses. Formula appears in 2 responses. And actually, if I click on that formula, it just brings up those 2 responses that used the word formula in it. I can just turn that filter on and off as I please. And this goes from most responded word to least responded word. It also gives you a little snapshot of where the video was asked. I think this is really powerful for students because it'll prompt them to remember where in the video that particular question was asked. It also might help them find this section in their notes. So I usually start with the responses and I go through all of them. Let me just take you through a couple of different types. So here I asked a true-false question. I used the multiple choice option to do this, and I only put the 2 response types, and I selected which of the 2 were the correct answers so that it automatically graded this for me. It also told the students right away if they got the answer right or if they got the answer wrong. So you can see that 4 viewers chose A, which was the wrong answer. 7 viewers chose B, which was the right answer. It does in Zaption automatically highlight in green the answer that I chose to be correct for that answer. Again, if I click on the A, this will filter the responses to only show the incorrect answers. And if I click on B, it will filter only the correct responses. Of course, this is more helpful if I have the viewer name on because this helps me identify who got it right and who I need to give some extra instruction to. And then I can just press show all to again show all of the responses. By using this little distribution of answers here, I can see that this is a question I should probably review for the whole class, but this question here, everybody got it right, so I really don't need to go over it in class. You can see that I used quite a few multiple choice questions in this particular video. I like to do those so it gives a student instant feedback if they got it right or if they got it wrong. However, I really also like these open response question types to get a little bit more feedback from my students on if they're understanding, if they're not understanding. Some of them actually write me some notes in this space here when they have these open response type questions to tell me they're really confused and they need help during the next class with that particular material, or I can ask questions that really delve into a deeper understanding or something that I plan to discuss as a whole in the classroom the next day. The other option that you have up here is the viewer option. So this is what I use at home the night before the class when I want to review individual students' work and see how they're understanding from an individual standpoint instead of as a class as a whole. So I might click on a student's name and I can see that this person completed all the questions, got 5 out of 7 of them correct. It tells me what date they watched it. It shows me how long it took them to watch this video, how many times they viewed the video, and then they can put a rating in if they want. I don't have my students do that. That's why that's blank. And then I can just see a summary of how they responded to each question. Something to keep in mind here is that at the top here, it does show you the length of the video that it was. And so when I look at the viewing time here, I can see whether or not the student watched through the whole video. In Zaption, you can speed up the video so the students can watch it at 1 speed, 1.25, 1.5, or 2 times speed. So they might be able to watch it in a little bit less than 8 minutes and 21 seconds and they still have finished the whole video. My students know that watching it in 2 times speed is not acceptable for the videos that I post. However, some of them watch it at 1.5 speed and that's okay for them, just so they're doing well. In Zaption, you do have the option to turn off the ability for them to watch it faster, but personally, my students have been using that well, and so I provide that opportunity for them. You can see that some students watched this video twice or even 3 times, and some students, as they're reviewing for the test, might go in and watch this tour again. Before I conclude this video, I just want to show one more thing, which is the set filter option. This is the way that I sort my classes. If I have like an A block and a B block and a C block, I would just assign one video. I don't want to have to make 3 different tours for my 3 different blocks. And so I can use this set filter option to only show the results from my AP Calculus AB class, for instance. And so I hope that helps you see how you can use the analytics in Zaption and gives you some ideas for using it in your own class.